Welcome to Love Letters and Books, a podcast for anyone who loves a good story. This is a soft space to explore romance and books where no topic is too taboo. I'm your host, Casey, and this week I am sitting down with author Allie Roberts to talk about our favorite Mafia and Bratva romance books, full of unhinged, morally black heroes and hard-won happily ever afters. Allie, welcome back to the Love Letters and Books podcast. I am so glad you're here.
Thank you. Happy to be here again.
I feel like we've worked on our intros, so this is the third one we've done, and this is way better. No one looks or sounds like they're being punished, and we're just two grown adults here opening the episode and not sounding terrified of each other, so that's good.
I know, I find this bit the weirdest part of the podcast. Even though we chat before, it's hard.
I know.
So weird.
It's okay. And we're just getting in the zone. It's the end of my day. It's the beginning of yours. So we're just going to make it work. But Allie, the last time you were here, we did our favorite cowboy romance books. And today we are talking about our favorite Mafia Bratva romances.
I love this. This is maybe my favorite trope of well, it's not really a trope, but a theme, a genre. Mafia is one of my favorites.
Why is it one of your favorites? What about it do you love?
I think because my favorite trope is enemies to lovers. So I feel like just the tension and the yearning and the back and forth of them being like, I can't like them, but I do. And then they're just making me feel all of these different things. I love that kind of character build up. So for me, it just encompasses all my favorite things. And then also it's men behaving in a way they absolutely should not, but in a way that's kind of okay, because usually there's a bad person involved. It's not necessarily like they're doing it to good people. But I mean, with the state of the world, it's kind of difficult to justify that line of reasoning, but there's enough bad people doing bad things.
It sounds like they have purpose in these books.
Yeah.
There's always a higher purpose, a higher calling.
Yes.
And these are characters for whom the rules do not apply. And there's no real consequences. And if a consequence comes, they can handle it. And I feel like that's something that the main female character or main male character or whoever it is, they kind of learn that from the other person. It's like their first experience with, oh, the rules don't apply. Oh, the consequences are not the same. It's sort of like a liberation from, sort of the normal rules in our life. You get to be a little bad, a little dangerous, a little scary, and it ends in a happily ever after, which is great. Because if we did any of those things in real life, it would not work out well.
Yeah. And I love when the guy or girl takes something that doesn't belong to them and they're like, you do belong to me, so you're mine now. And I just love that. I just love it. I'm like, oh my God, okay, take me.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like sometimes it's the juxtaposition of two characters who wouldn't normally put together, which is what makes the book so interesting. And we're going to get into that today as we explore some of our favorite Mafia Bratva romances and kind of break down why, our favorite characters, favorite themes, maybe favorite scenes. So, Allie, you're going to start us off, and you are going to tell me one of your favorite books.
Favorite Mafia romance series ever is the Sinners Anonymous series by Somme Sketcher. And she has written quite a lot of Mafia romance books, but this one just stood out and it's just taken off completely. And it starts with the first book. He's called Vicious, but he's actually called Angelo. And he comes back to Devil's Dip, where he basically is supposed to be the head of this mafia family, and he left to move to London for a few years. And he comes back and he's going to be there for as little time as possible. He does not want to be there anymore. And he sees his uncle who runs the other side of the family. And basically he meets his uncle's, who's like 70, his 21-year-old fiance. Yeah. And Angelo's like 36. So he's not young, compared to 21. But basically this guy is going to marry this 21-year-old, and it all comes out as to there's reasons why she's agreed to do it, and you find out sort of why. But her and Angelo obviously have this igniting passion for each other, and she's just angelic. She looks like such a good girl, but she has this really bad streak where she does things like she keys someone's car, and he always asks her this question. He's like, tell me a sin, Aurora. And I'm like, I will tell you all my sins, okay? Which one would you like? It's so good. But she's like the queen of slow burn, especially for the second book. They don't even kiss until, I want to say, like halfway through the second book, but they do other things. There's this whole kind of game behind it, and they just play games with each other all the time, and he keeps calling himself a gentleman, and she's like, yeah, I know you're not a gentleman, and everybody says he's a gentleman, and she's like, nah, no way, not this guy. You know, it's so good.
Well, the way you describe it, obviously, I'm going to do what I always do when I finish a call with you, and you're laughing because you already know, is that as soon as I sign off from this, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to read it, and I'll probably send you a WhatsApp message in the middle of the night being like, oh my God, Allie, I loved it so much. Because you and your recommendations are always spot on. I was going to ask you to go a little bit deeper because you mentioned why you liked her, that, you know, queen of the slow burn. Is there anything else about her writing in particular that you love that makes this stand out in the genre?
Just her style of writing is really beautiful. She's a very descriptive person without it feeling overly descriptive. And, you know, with like mafia men, sometimes they're not very chatty. And so there has to be this balance of them actually what they say compared to what they're thinking. And so I think she just knocks that balance out of the park. Like, she's so good. And I feel like they're very distinctive, the characters. Like, you know who's, even when there's sort of like, you're assuming the talker, you know who they are, which is really good because there's a lot of scenes with the brothers together and they're all very different people. I really, really like her style of writing. I think she's a beautiful writer.
Oh, I love that. I love a really defined voice. And how you mentioned sort of the balance of the men in the genre are not the most poetic. And so how do you get what they want across without just the brute force? So that's really interesting to me. I cannot wait to pick this up. So again, what was the name of the book and the author?
So the series is called the Sinners Anonymous series. And so actually I haven't even explained the main premise of the name, but it's basically that there's this hotline that you call and you can confess your sins to the hotline. And the three brothers own the hotline. And basically once a month they find the worst sinner and they kill the sinner.
Right. I love that you're just now telling me that that's the premise of it. Because no, we have to talk about this for a second because I need to tell you something. I probably will edit this out of the episode, but as a kid, I used to listen to a radio talk show every single night as I went to bed. I think it was called like Love Lines or something with Dr. Judy, and she was a psychiatrist or, you know, psychologist, but she was like a relationship and sex therapist. So there I was at like 10 years old listening to her answer all of these call-in, and the things that people would never say to another person. They would never even say to a therapist that they had to sit in front of because the shame is just so big. But they would call in and talk to Dr. Judy, and she would be so affirming and talk to them about it. And I remember being like 10 years old and thinking, oh, that's going to be me. I'm going to do that. I'm going to have my own show. I'm going to have my own like radio show, and I'm going to be a therapist. I'm going to talk to people like that. And Allie, fast forward, I became a psychotherapist. And then fast forward, I created a mental health podcast where I just talk through like every uncomfortable thing that no one would ever want to talk to out loud.
That is crazy.
I know. So this just like touched my 10-year-old heart, but brought me into the present of like what I would actually love. I love that concept. That is so unique.
Yeah. It was an amazing part of the plot. Like, it was so good. And obviously the women in the FMCs call this hotline and they confess all their sins. And so the first one, Aurora with Vicious, he doesn't listen to her calls, but he knows that she does call. But the second one, he listens to everything. And then there's even a scene where with Vicious where he's just like, why the fuck would you listen to your girl's calls? Like, why would you do that? And he's just like, he finds out all this stuff about her. Like, she uses it as kind of like a diary, and she says things like she never got to have sleepovers when she was a kid, so she always wanted to have sleepovers, and she never learned how to braid hair. So he like gets someone to teach him how to braid hair, so he knows how to braid hair, so he can do it for her. Oh my God. Like, honestly, you should definitely read this book. Like, it's so good.
I'm obviously doing that tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about this. I love that. And I had no idea, I'd sort of seen the name and seen the books, but there are so many books out there, right? So I love these conversations because we get to share our favorites. And I'm actually a little bit nervous as I am about to share with you my all-time favorite in the entire genre. And it is not my favorite genre. So I will say that because that's why these books mean so much more to me, because this is not what I would normally just like instantly pick up. Top tier, number 1, Deserted Island, Deathbed, Mafia romance book. I am talking about the Deception Trilogy by RIna Kent. Allie, have you read this?
I've read these years ago.
Allie, let me refresh your memory. First of all, it is the ballet and the Bratva, because we have our ballerina, Leah Morelli, who is hanging on by a thread, trying very hard to stay in reality and take care of herself. She's had a hard life. And then one night, she comes across the Adrian Volkov, and he decides that he's in charge. Like, everything she's known up to this point is over, and everything's changing. And there are so many reasons why this trilogy is incredible, right? I can almost not even list them, but the most important part of this trilogy is that it is a mind game from start to finish for the reader. I mean, there were so many times when I was reading these books that I was like, oh my God, like, oh my God, oh my God. And it was just beautiful and dark and sad and powerful. And it was one of those trilogies and stories where you really feel the depth of the connection of the characters. Because sometimes, I have to say, it's hard. It's hard to get right in books. Like, it's really hard to tap into like vulnerability, fears, everything that's underlying that really, as a reader, we love. And we almost can't put our finger on it, but it's just there. These two and this story, I just loved it. I thought it was incredible. I thought it was beautifully done in the way that it paid attention to mental health and the way we mishandle it and how we can course correct and take care of ourselves and each other and our partner and learn from our mistakes. But it was just incredible. And it was so dramatic. And it was like set in New York City and like the New York City ballet and just like all of these things. It opens up with discussions of the ballet Giselle, which I did a whole ballet romance episode on this podcast. And we talked in depth about why that ballet is so important and what it means to people, what it means to put that in a story, what it says about the ballerina they're talking about, just all of these beautiful things. So Adrian Volkov and Leah Morelli, and their relationship was tough. Like, these two did not get on the same page for a really long time. The book spans a really long period of time. I mean, I think it spans like 7 years that they're together.
Wow.
And it is a difficult journey. And it's called the Deception Trilogy for a reason, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's a lot that people are lying about. And I don't know, for some reason, it was just one of RIna Kent's best love stories, as far as I'm concerned. Wow. And I've read every single book she's ever written.
Whoa.
Depressive episode. Anyway, so I read everything she's ever written. And just being honest, this one really stands out. And then I have to say, part of the reason it was so powerful is because their son has his own book in the Legacy of Gods series. It's God of Wrath, which is probably one of the best books that RIna Kent has ever written. And so as a reader, you have this really strong cathexis with the story where you just feel like you're so invested. And what RIna Kent did was use the combination of tension between Leah and Adrian to really inform Jeremy, their son, as a character and how he tries to heal and grow and connect with the world. It was just beautiful. I love it. Adrian Volkov to the day I die.
Wow. I've seen so many posts about God of Wrath as well. I have not read it.
Okay, so listen. I realize as we are recording this that you're about to start your day.
Yeah, literally.
But I really would like to point out that you're going to read this book starting in your lunch hour, and I cannot wait to hear back from you, because this book, you're going to, the next time I talk to you, you're going to be like, Casey, oh my God, there's going to be so many scenes that you love. Yeah, no, it was incredible. And I think also, because I don't want to gloss over it, right? There's like the danger, the spice, the storytelling, all of that. But again, RIna Kent continued in the Legacy of God series, especially in this book, addressing mental health issues, addressing trauma, addressing generational trauma, addressing kind of maybe pushing back on the way people perceive how we heal. Like, you don't have to heal in isolation and then be ready and perfect before you date someone. You can actually, you know, work through things together and co-regulate. Anyway, I loved it.
We talked about this last time as well. I think this is such a common theme in romance books of not being like completely ready for love and acceptance. It's such a common theme. I love it.
Well, I love that the discussion is coming up, because just because we're hearing messages in the media, or because it's a trend in the academic world in that field and it's being shoved down our throats of what you're supposed to do, it's like, take a step back. Why does that benefit someone other than me? You know, but what actually benefits human being? Are we supposed to always be isolated as we process things? Or is it more powerful to be in community, to be connected? And I'm just a believer in it. So, like, sorry to steer us in a different direction. I'm just a believer in it, because I was very isolated in my own, like, processing of trauma and my own mental health and things like that. I felt very isolated and almost, I would say, shamed into deal with it privately. No one ever wants that part of you, and there's no purpose for it. And then coming to the realization that all of me is welcome in spaces, and there's nothing about me or that has happened to me or that I've experienced that is not welcome in a healthy space.
Yeah, because I hate that phrase. You know, when people are like, how can someone love you if you don't love yourself? And you're like, hun, I need being loved the most. I need that the most right now. Like, whether I love myself wholeheartedly or not, like, I need someone else to love me.
Also,
so why would you say that to someone?
I feel like that's coming from a place of privilege, and I have a lot of people in my life who have not had the life experiences I've had, and that's okay. And I'm actually very happy for them that they can't relate to me sometimes, because I'm like, that must be amazing. But I think also you're talking about something you were given that you think everyone has, without realizing that some of us, it was never modeled for us. And although I think that love is something that lives within us, right? It's not like something I have to grasp outside of myself. Some of us have been so blocked from it that we didn't even know how to access it in ourselves. And it can be so beautiful when a partner models that for you. And it doesn't have to be a life partner. It can be someone you date and you separate and you move on, but you take that lesson with you and you realize that it was always within you. And that you can tap into it whenever you want. Like, I feel that's one of the lessons I've learned. Like, it's just about me accessing it. No one's giving it to me, but they can model it for me and reveal it and show it, you know?
I love that.
Oh, that's do you? I feel...
Yeah, that's so profound. I come here every time and I'm like, so I forget my tissues every time and I'm like, this is It's so early on a Friday to have these revelations.
Early for you, and I have been through it today at work. So the fact that we're talking about this, but no, Allie, I really feel like that, and I didn't know that when I was younger. And you have to go through all the lessons, right? You have to go through the moments when you didn't experience it, where someone was trying to bleed you dry, where someone made you feel bad because you mentioned that you had a need. Like there's this thing in the world today where we're not allowed to have wants or needs. It's like, I love when people feel safe enough with me to tell me what they need.
Yeah, because I always feel like that, like I'm asking for too much all the time. And then like Dom will regularly remind me like, you're allowed to ask for stuff. Just like,
he's a good man.
I know, he's so great. Like,
we're huge fans of Dom over here because we just love him. But no, I feel like that's just really pushing back against that harmful messaging and saying, hey, I don't have to preach to the entire world, but within my relationship, I can behave in a certain way. And I love when our intimate partnerships are not separating us from the world, but are offering us a way, like almost like a roadmap for functioning in the world. Like I think about this safety and love and connection in my relationship, my intimate partnership. And I don't think, oh my God, I just want to store that inside and only share that with you. I think I want to walk through the world with the lessons that I learn in this relationship and move that way every single day. And I feel like that's been a really powerful lesson for me.
So good.
Okay, this got really, really weird since I started talking about the Deception trilogy and Adrian Volkov. I don't know what is happening right now, but I am actually going to volley it back to you, Allie, so we can come back to planet Earth and continue talking about Mafia and Bratva romance.
Okay. I feel like my list today is actually quite short because I'm quite picky, but there is one book that I want to talk about, and it's a tricky one because I love this book so much, right? But like in every scene, I just think this is wild. So it's called Nero by S.J. Tilley, and it starts off with a girl who's got her patio doors open. Do you guys say patio doors?
I mean, I will say it the way you said it from now on. I will say patio doors. Because you know what? I'm from New York City, and I would probably say door. Do you know what I mean? But like, I'm going to say patio doors.
But it's a big glass door.
Yeah, it was whatever you want. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Okay, so she keeps her patio doors open, but it opens to her balcony doors. So she has them wide open, and this guy in a suit jumps up the balcony and lets himself in. And she's just sat there with a bowl of popcorn, like watching a movie, like, what the hell? Why are you in my apartment? Like, she's super shy, super timid. She doesn't have any money. I think she was like come from like the foster care system or something like that. So she just has absolutely no one she can rely on. She's completely alone, and, she goes to work every day and then she comes home, and that's all she does. And then this bloody guy pops into her apartment and then just starts eating the popcorn, just sits down, starts eating the popcorn. And then, do you know what? If that wasn't enough for you, she is so comfortable. Apparently, she falls asleep with a random guy on her sofa, just vibing, just chilling. And then she wakes up and he's like, it's his point of view. And he's like, she really shouldn't be falling asleep, rah, rah, rah. And you're just like, no shit, she shouldn't be falling asleep. Like, and then he just becomes obsessed with her. And he like, with her scent, and like, she's got this rose shampoo, and he like, I think he like takes a load for himself or something like that. And I love it. But anyway, so he comes back, like she leaves the door open and he's like, you shouldn't leave your doors open. But she leaves it open because she wants him to come back. And then obviously they have sex, but but she was a virgin. So he is like, oh my God, now she's mine. She's never been with another man. She's never going to be with one again. Like, but basically the second time she ever has sex, because he starts following her around and everything, she's at a heavy metal concert that she's been invited to, and she's on her own. And then he slides up behind her, and then he's like giving it all this chat in her ear. And then he puts just slips a few inches into her back door. the second time that she's ever done anything. There's no prep, there's no lube. And I was just reading this like, all while heavy metal's playing in her ear.
But can I say something? It's not just the heavy metal is playing. She's at a concert.
Yeah. He just sneaks into the back corner and just,
which seems more of an issue to me than the heavy metal playing. Like, it's the public play aspect of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the second time she'd done anything.
It is, but I love that this book is the one you're talking about, that it's just so over the top and ridiculous. But I want to say something about that because we're laughing, but I think that that's a huge theme in some of the books we love. We just love that everything's over the top, ridiculous, something that couldn't happen. Just that's part of it. So it's not laughing at it like, because I really hate when people make meaning like, oh, that's ick. Like, I can't stand that. I'm like, no, it's just, it's over the top. It's like the circus. And as a reader, you get to just immerse yourself in this weird, wild world. And there's nothing about the storytelling that you're like trying to relate to or anything like that. You're just like, oh my God.
If you want a book that's going to shock you, I might have just ruined part of it, but it will shock you. Like, it's so good. And she writes it so well. I just love that these authors are such beautiful writers and they write fucking batshit crazy stuff. And I'm like, this is what I want. I want a really good writer that's really well written and I want it to be unhinged. Like, this is Unhinged. And I just loved it. And there's a few more books in the series, which I haven't actually read yet, because I have to say, when we do these, I absolutely love it because I have a full month of like cowboy romance and then mafia romance. Love it. But I get to the end of the month and I'm like, I need to be done with this for a while. I need to move on.
Thank you for your commitment to the podcast, Allie. I really, really appreciate it. I feel
like,
it.
You know, sometimes it's so heavy and I'm like, I need a palate cleanser.
Yeah. No. I completely understand. And I love that you are once again introducing me to someone new. I feel like I've read S.J. Tilly, but I think I read a different genre that she had written. But I'm definitely going to pick it up because we all have those moments where we don't want reality. We want to escape, dive in, have our minds blown. I do love a completely unhinged story, especially when it's well written. So I feel like you are just giving me what I need. This is good. Well, Allie, I have a list in front of me, and I feel like I'm going to do one more in the RIna Kent universe because she was in her Mafia Bratva era for a while. So I'm going to mention the other trilogy, and I don't know if you read it, the Monster Trilogy.
Oh, I have not read that. Okay, let me write
Allie Roberts. Tonight, you have homework. Not only do you have to read God of Wrath, but I expect you to pick up the Monster Trilogy. And you want to know why? Because you are going to meet Kirill Morozov, Captain, who is a needy, emotional menace murder kitten. He is everything.
Okay, just to clarify, when you say captain, is this an army thing? Oh, yeah. God, you know I love the army.
I do.
Was in the army.
I know what you like. I did the work. I brought what I knew that you liked. Not only because Allie, I'm about to just like brace yourself. Captain Kirill and Alexandra Ivanova, also known as Sasha, a woman in the army pretending to be a man.
Oh my God, like in Mulan.
And she does this because she is trying to survive the high stakes world of the Bratva, of her life in Russia, of her family being hunted down. And she's trying to avenge them, protect them, and just survive. So she's getting like beaten up in the army. But Captain Kirill is like, I think that's a woman. But that's all right. Like, that's fine. He's like totally like down with whatever. He's not giving her a hard time about anything. And they embark on this trilogy love story that will devastate you and is so, I will say where the Deception trilogy was like really hard sometimes, the Monster trilogy is like wildly soft sometimes.
Ooh.
And it's the juxtaposition that makes these books so good. Because Captain Kirill, like I said, he's a murder kitten. Like this man, something goes wrong in the book at one point, and this man is like, well, everyone's going to die. And then he does it. And he doesn't think twice about it. Yet at the same time, he throws a fit because she won't give him a pet name. He doesn't like the pet names she comes up with. So he makes her do her homework and come up with a better pet name. So, Allie, I don't know if I've sold you on this book and this story, but I really loved it. I thought that they had such a good connection. I thought it was so beautiful, and Sasha is such an incredible main female character. I just want you to read it, and it's one of my favorites, Captain Kirill. And there is one scene that I am thinking of.
Go on.
That I know you're going to like be like giggling and like kicking your feet out loud when you read this scene. One word. Sauna. And it just, yeah. That's all I need to say. Sauna. And that's it.
You know what? Again, I love that because in real life, I could not think of anything worse than a sauna.
There's nothing worse.
And you're already sweating too much.
You can't breathe.
You can't breathe. Absolutely not. Your skin is on fire.
Everything is damp. Just stop for a second. Everything is damp. Just the energy of being
in the sauna. I'd be like,
damp space. Yeah, but the thing is,
I love it in a book though.
It's different when it's Captain. Oof. Okay, so I'm throwing it out there. Once again, I will point out, depressive episode really took me on a journey.
You're such a tease because I'm like, I can't stop talking and I just give away all the things that happen and you're like, I'm going to say one word, sauna. And I'm like, well, okay, I would have done a deep dive. I like that we're different in that respect.
Well, I think I'm just, it's a trilogy, so I could talk for an hour and I don't want to because we have a few more books to cover, but I just feel like that in and of itself, pet names, tattoos, strange weddings, maybe things happen to people, maybe they don't, maybe we think things happen to people because they made us think that, but it didn't actually happen. There's a lot going on here, Allie. So I will say that I have a few other authors on my list, but I just could not get around the fact that the way RIna Kent did this universe, I just loved it. And he's like a little bratty. I got to be honest with you. He's like,
I kind of like it when a guy's a bit bratty.
He's the brat, and she is just trying to survive. And it's such an interesting clash between their two energies where like she can't relax and he's just too relaxed. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, you have your list. So, Allie, it's back to you. What is your next book?
Well, because I was reading so many, and I do like to have ones that aren't so intense sometimes, I started reading a few that were a bit more like comedy. And I do think that the Sinners Anonymous series and even Nero, with obviously some of the scenes, they do have some good comedic timing. But there was the One Night Match by Montana Fyre. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's Fyre is her surname. But he was basically a big golden retriever. And he then was like, oh, but when I'm in front of other people, I've got to act the mafia part, right? And she's like, oh, yeah, okay. And he's so mean. But the rest of the book, he's like obsessed with her. Like he's so in it. And he's just like, basically the whole premise of the book is that they've been matched on this mafia dating service. And they immediately get married because apparently that's what you do. But there's a 3-month get out clause. And the second he meets her, he's like, I'm not getting divorced. I loved it. It was so good. And she's just like, we'll be getting divorced. Like, my parents have forced me into this. Like, we'll be getting divorced. And he's like, no, we're not.
I mean, set up for success. I love how that starts.
And it's just kind of the whole silliness of the forced marriage, which can be very intense sometimes in mafia romance. And it's basically just taking that but making it super light and fluffy, and him just being utterly obsessed, which, you know me, I love an obsessed man. I think it did dive a bit more into the mafia side of things, which was good. I liked that. It had a good balance. But yeah, she was just, you know, he just wanted her to be happy, and I loved that. It was really good.
I love
A
it.
softer mafia. If you're just diving in,
Softer
that's
murder.
kind of a nice
Softer crime. I like our crime to be warm and fuzzy. So no, but
like
I know
it
what
when
you're
they
saying. I do.
Yeah,
Like,
when
I
they commit
totally
crime,
get it.
but they're total like dorks about it afterwards.
I mean, that's the ideal. So. Okay, well, I'm going to shift away from RIna Kent.
Okay, yeah.
And we are going to head out to Las Vegas, the middle of the desert, and we are going to meet the kings of Shantel Tessier's Dark Kingdom series. Now, for anyone who is a huge fan of Shantel Tessier, who is the author of the Lord series, which I absolutely love, I talk about on this podcast all the time, the Dark Kingdom series was written before that, and it overlaps with the Lord series. So even now, as I'm reading books that are coming out about the Lord series, we're seeing all of these characters pop in, pop out, the relationships grow. So her universe is huge, which is amazing for us as readers. We just love it. You know, we'll see our favorite characters again. But this series focuses on these guys, and they run Las Vegas. So every book focuses on each of the guys, and they are very locked in. Like, they grew up together. Some of them were brothers. And the journey is showing how they've evolved, even, you know, back when they were kids. Like, there's a lot of flashbacks. And it has one of my favorite things in the book. And we can unpack this today, later, whenever. It has horrible parents. And I find this to be so
we've talked about
healing.
this before.
We've talked about this. I love it. No one writes a horrible parent like Shantel Tessier. Like, just the depravity, and they get theirs. Like, there's a comeuppance, and I feel like that is so healing, because even if the main characters as kids, like, their trauma wasn't recognized, as adults, they find people who recognize the trauma and help them heal and help them work through that. So I absolutely love this series, and she's done such an incredible job, as she always does in her books, at world building. She creates these niche, dark little underworlds that you can like, you see yourself in them. And the other thing that she did in this series, and I was talking to my sister about this too as I was reading it, she spends so much time focusing on the female friendships, and they are so good. These are the ride or die girls. She has one character, Jasmine, who's a legend, and she's in like every book that Shantel Tessier has ever written. Like, Jasmine makes an appearance. She's just like the ultimate friend you would love to have. Like, she's just that girl.
Oh, I love that.
And she makes every crazy decision you could possibly think of, and she's amazing. And she just exists beyond societal norms, beyond taboo, beyond rules. And it just, there's something amazing about it, about writing a woman like that. And we all love her. So, yeah. So the Las Vegas Mafia.
I do think that the found family and things like that in books, I actually love that so much.
I love that so much.
It adds such a depth to the story. And like, also because it focuses, obviously the romance is like a romantic kind of love, but actually it focuses a lot on other elements of like, or other parts of love as well. And this is when people don't really understand the romance genre, is that it's, yes, it is romantic love, but it's also like found family, and it's healing, and it's all of these other elements that make up a story. And actually even reading it, you're like, wow, this is so therapeutic. Yeah, so good.
Sometimes it's the first time you've ever experienced something is through the pages of someone else's imagination. It's like someone else's words give you the experience that in your soul or in your heart, like, you knew that you wanted, but you didn't have a name for it. And I think that that's really beautiful. Like, no one would wake up one day at 20 and be like, I really want found family. But you read these books and you're like, oh no, that is what I want. Like, I want to be a part of that. And I think that's what I love most about the genre.
It's so good. I just love that.
All right, it's back to you, Allie. Take us on a journey. Tell me about another book I don't know anything about.
Right, I've got one more on my list because I know that you've got one on your list that I'm not going to use because I did take Maggie Gates from you. So I'm not going to do that this time.
We're going to do that one together. We're going to close with that one. We'll do that together. We'll hold hands and we will talk about it because it's the best main male character ever written. So anyway, we'll do that in a minute.
This one again is kind of a softer one. It's more of a funny one. And it's when I accidentally took over the Mafia. That time I accidentally took over the Mafia. And it's by Rebekah Sinclair. And it's a reverse harem, which we should do another series on reverse harems.
We will. Because we're just making a note. Anyone who's listening, we're going to come back after Allie publishes her next book. And we will focus on reverse harems.
I just love them. So basically, her dad was the head of the Mafia and he dies, leaving it all to her, even though she'd left and didn't want anything to do with it. And all of these different things have been going on in her life, but she had previously dated 3 guys. And those 3 guys are now boyfriends. And they come to find her once the dad dies because everybody's now trying to kill her so that they can take over the Mafia. And they basically have to bring her to this meeting where she announces that she's now head of the Mafia. And there are so many explosions and fights. And I'm pretty sure someone launches a fridge at some point. It's just crazy. And then they all slowly start getting back in her good graces because she's fucking furious with all of them. It's so good.
I love it.
I loved it so much. It was just silly and I just really enjoyed it. It was just something that, you're maybe for pure entertainment, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I want to ask you, on the spot, in the moment, early in the morning where you are, what do you think it is about reverse harem stories that you like?
I think it's just that a woman can be so captivating and so, I don't know, 3 men are utterly obsessed to the point where they're like, oh, I'll be with you with 2 other guys or 3 other guys. I'm more than happy to give up having you alone so I can have you with everyone. And also when they're together, I love it with the guys that together or not. I could read both. But when they all work together to make her life as good as it possibly can be, fuck yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, why would that appeal to anyone when we are constantly bombarded with images and videos and just things about making people's lives more difficult? And I feel like I see that a lot. I see people, whether it's weaponized incompetence, malicious compliance, people just in relationships at work, in friendships, in families, just not putting in the effort, not showing up, making things harder than they need to be to get an emotional reaction from you or to wield power. And so someone leaning into their power and their power being of service and connection and showing up. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Again, not my favorite one, but I do read them. And I'm already thinking about the episode we can do about this.
Yeah, me too.
I'm let's get back into the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get back into the moment because you and I will do our homework after hours, pun intended. But we will. Hey.
Available now on Amazon and KU.
Yesterday, I was recording with Rhea Morris Edwards, and I was telling her that you and I recorded the Cowboy Romance episode, and that I had talked about her book and introduced that to you. Sovereign.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
God damn,
well, I told her that was your reaction, and I was just like, yeah, no, it's really good, and it's so funny that Allie comes on the podcast and we'll talk about anything other than her book, but I force her to talk about her book. So to anyone
available
listening,
now on Amazon and KU.
Allie Roberts wrote a book called After Hours that I love. Anyway, we'll come back to that later. So I'm going to switch to 2 books in the genre that I absolutely love. One of them I've mentioned on the podcast before, so I'm going to start with the other one, and that is Possess Me by Michelle Hurd. So she wrote this interconnected series. I sent you the video that I made about this book. Is that why you're...
Did you?
I did. I sent you an Instagram link to the video I made about this, but this is the story of Alec and Everly. This has so many incredible elements. So I will start off by saying to anyone listening, if you read the book Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman, this is a book that you would love. There is mistaken identity, close proximity, captivity, star-crossed lovers, second chance romance. It is incredible. It is tragic. It ends, it's a happily ever after. It's a romance. So like things come around, but these two go through it. But the most interesting part about this story is that we've met Alec. We've followed Alec's journey all through his training at St. Monarch's. Like we've seen him train with all of his brothers and all of his friends. He's tough as nails. He's been through everything. He's like an enforcer. He's sort of the one who didn't take anything seriously in the books. And then he's taken hostage with this girl that he took hostage. So he took her hostage. Him and his brother were told to take this girl, but it's a mistaken identity. They take the wrong girl. So Alec is taken captive with this girl, and he just needs to keep her alive because the people who took them are not trying to. So they go on this traumatic journey. The book is incredible. It's so beautiful. And here's what I love. I love that we took a character for how many books is he the one who's just doesn't take anything seriously, making jokes about everything, doesn't take relationships seriously, doesn't take girls seriously. And then he's put in this position of life or death where he has to protect someone he doesn't even know. And it transforms him. And then the trauma of their experience absolutely transforms him. And it was just such a beautiful story. So I highly recommend that. It can be read as a standalone, so you don't need to read the whole series. But Possess Me by Michelle Hurd, I loved it.
Was St. Monarch's, was that the school?
Yeah.
Yeah, where they all train how to be.
You know what I'm talking
about? I
about?
that series so much. I loved it.
Honestly, Possess Me was my favorite book in the series.
Okay, interesting.
So,
you know what? I read this years ago. So forgive me for lacking the details, but I really liked when the girl was with the instructor.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes. Yeah. And of course, the name is escaping us. But Michelle Hurd, if you by any chance listen to this podcast and you hear us gushing about your books and how much we love them, I'm sorry we could not remember the name. But
I regularly think about that dynamic.
I regularly think about that book, Michelle Hurd. We just need you to know that you have real estate in our minds. So I love that we both...
Stop paying rent, madam.
Exactly. I love that we both love this series, but haven't really mentioned to each other before. But once again, Possess Me by Michelle Hurd. And then the next book I'm going to mention is a book I've mentioned on this podcast before. I'm mentioning it again because I love it so much. It's called Fear Me, Love Me by Lilith Vincent. And this is the story of Tyrant and Vivian, and it is a dark labyrinth retelling. So if you loved the film Labyrinth, which I did, I absolutely did. This story is everything you could want from that, but then it has this wild other layer to it that just adds so much depth. And I'm not going to give it away. So like read the book. It basically happens in the first chapter. You're introduced to it.
Such a tease.
It is so, it hits in such a good way because she added that layer. Right? Like you could have written a story and left this out, but she gets to the tenderness, the vulnerability, just like the raw, like emotion right away. And it's so beautiful because it really binds these two together. I love it. It's so good.
You are such a tease with your reviews.
I don't know, because I don't want to like give it all away because I want like the excitement. Because I read completely cold. I never, and I'm not saying anyone else has to do this. So, you know, don't take it that way. I never read trigger warnings. I never really read the blurbs that much. I really don't, because I know myself and I know that that does not bother me and that's okay. And everyone's different. For me, I really like to just open it up and dive in. So I don't want to spoil it for anyone else, but I loved Fear Me, Love Me. And I will say there was like a beautiful sensitivity to sort of like mental health issues. And it was addressed in a way that you see in intimate partnerships. And she put this on a page and I just thought it was really interesting. It's not something that a lot of people talk about. And I just thought it was really beautiful.
Yeah. That's your real love language with books though. You love books that have a mental health rep or that dive into
and an accidental pregnancy. But yes.
That's going to be another month. I think that's going to be another.
Are we doing that together? Because I was going to do it on my own. I'll do it with you if you're open to it.
What? On your own?
I don't know. I didn't want to like drag you down into the pits of hell with me because I was like, would you like to join me? We can do this together.
I would more than happily do that.
Okay. Yeah, well, absolutely. We are going to do that. So yes, to anyone who's maybe new to the podcast, Allie and I have talked about this before, that I love a good accidental pregnancy and I love beautiful mental health representation that touches on it outside the bounds of what the world is telling us how you should deal with it or act or navigate. I love when you're invited into the tenderness of an intimate partnership and you see what gets negotiated between the two people of how we handle this. So it was interesting because I read the reviews of Fear Me, Love Me, and some people were like, I don't get it. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I was like, you will. Like, you'll understand. You just need a few years and you will understand that, like, you know, things are negotiated differently in partnerships where you do feel very emotionally safe with someone. And there's like intense emotional safety in this relationship, which is contrasting with the fact that the guy's name is Tyrant. So the fact that this is an emotionally safe relationship.
Yeah. I did pick up on that. I was like, wow, that's a good name.
So again, that was Fear Me, Love Me by Lilith Vincent. And I just really enjoy her writing.
Okay. It's on the list.
So Allie, this is where we come together and we hold hands to close this episode with a book that we both mentioned in our emails back and forth to each other. And I would like to just hand this one over to you, introduce us to this book, and we'll dive in and go back and forth.
Well, I want to double check that you're thinking about the same thing, and that's the Maddest obsession.
You knew that was the same thing. Like, I said he was the best main male character ever written. It was the Maddest obsession. Okay.
It has been years since I've read this book, but it does stay with me. But it has been years. I'm just going to say that.
It was newer for me. I read it, I'd say, within the last year. So it's a little bit fresher for me.
Okay, maybe you should do the introduction because there's scenes in my head that I love, but it might be best coming from you.
Okay, so I'll open us up with The Maddest Obsession by Danielle Lori. I came across this book in the last year. I really didn't know much about the author. I didn't know anything about the series, but I kept seeing this name on TikTok, Christian Alistair. And every time I saw a quote, I was like, yeah, I need to read that book. So let's dive into the world. What happens in The Maddest Obsession? It is Christian Alistair, a dirty Fed, as he's, referred to, and Gianna. Gianna has a million last names because she gets remarried about every other chapter in this book. And Christian cannot get her in between these marriages because she is being used as a trading card in the mafia. So she's not marrying for love. At 18, she gets married off. And it's really just to have a position in different families. And once that marriage ends, for the reason it does, she is then traded to other mafia bosses to establish alliances. So there's no love, there's no physical relationship, there's no intimacy, there's nothing. She just gets a credit card, basically, and protection. Christian Alistair, on the other hand, is a little obsessive.
A little.
So he has turned his life inside out to be near Gianna. He will do anything to be in her orbit, but he doesn't really know how to deal with it. And here's one reason why I love this book, and it's a theme I do enjoy in other books, is that he's an assault survivor. So childhood abuse, and he survived it with his brother. And it does come up in really profound ways in this book. And I know we're kind of like giggling and it's like, it's all these good things, but it comes up in this book because, I don't know, he's had to protect himself and like wear this face in the world, but he has a lot going on inside. So you also get insight into his compulsive behavior, his obsessions, his like court mandated therapy sessions that he has to go to because he did something that he shouldn't have done. And you're on this journey of this guy who has a really hard time connecting outside of anything below surface level with this woman who is a force of nature. Gianna is loud, she's bright, she's colorful, she's just everything out there in the world, almost completely at peace with herself, yet deals with a lot of anxiety that no one sees and feels really insecure that, you know, she's just a trading card. And what does she have to offer someone? So these two come together, and it is a wild story. Yes, it's a romance. Yes, they end up together, and how they get there is really beautiful. And there was this one scene in the book where they're both still really insecure around each other, which is crazy because the book spans time. Like, they've known each other a really long time. And she's embarrassed about this one thing she's doing and doesn't think he'd want to do it. And he's just like, I'm whatever you are. It's the most just like raw, powerful exchange of like, there's nothing you could do that I wouldn't want to be a part of. And I just thought it was so beautiful. And also, there's a part in the book where she forgets his name, and that absolutely destroyed me because at this point they've been interacting for so long and she just forgets, and it destroys him. And it's like so funny and beautiful and sweet and raw, and I don't know, I loved it. So Allie, did that refresh your memory?
It did. All I remember about this book as well is that he doesn't really treat her like she's fragile, like she's a mafia princess. Like, I'm pretty sure he shoves her in the pool at one point.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't he? Yeah, like he's kind of brutal with her.
He's snappy with her. It's all that like compulsive, obsessive energy. Like, it's almost pushing her away the entire time.
Yeah, like he is just obsessed, and that's why I remember these characters. Like, obviously we've read so many books. Sometimes characters and things, they do flit in and out, but what I remember about him is being utterly obsessed and just being like, nah, like, and just when he says an answer, that's it. Like, no means no.
Their banter was so good. It was ridiculous. And when he is trying to get back in her good graces at any point, their banter is just amazing. And then also, for anyone listening who loved this book, he wears Gianna's hair tie on his wrist for years.
Oh my God.
For years. It was just so, the story was so good. And I also loved that it addressed both of their feelings of unworthiness that maybe the world wouldn't see. They're two beautiful people. I mean, everyone wants both of them, but they don't feel lovable. They don't feel worthy. And they feel like they don't want someone to see beyond the physical, because if I let you back in, you're not going to like what you see. And they both heal that together. And I think that that's really beautiful.
I wonder if that's why it resonated with me so much. Because I just love a book where someone feels like they're not worthy of being loved. And then by the end, they're like, yeah, I deserve this. And I love that. I think there's a big part of us all where, well, maybe not. Maybe this is just my experience. But my 20s, I felt very unlovable. Like, I felt like I wasn't, you know, living up to a potential, or that I was particularly very valuable, I guess. And then as soon as I turned 30, it was just like, oh, thank God, I can leave that behind. And I don't know if it was the age thing, because it is an arbitrary number. Like, you know, it could have been any age, but like it was when I turned 30, I was like, oh, wow, I don't have to worry about this anymore. Like, what everybody does in their 20s doesn't actually really matter. So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe when I read it, I was like, yeah, I needed this.
Yeah.
The whole characters around them as well, because there's a lot of books around them in that series, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that another one, Nico?
Nico is the first one.
He's a bit of a naughty boy, isn't he?
He is a little naughty boy. Nico and Elena, Sweet Abeli.
That's right.
In book 1, and then Ronan Markov in the 3rd book with Mila. And everyone was like very conflicted about him because he was like doing all this. It's like, he's the head of the mafia.
Is he the Russian one?
He's the Russian one. Of course he's going to do some bad things. Calm down. Like, he was trying to get revenge.
Malishka or something?
What'd you say?
Malishka? Does he call her Malishka?
No. So Christian is Russian, so he calls Gianna Malishka.
Oh, that's right.
Ronan, I believe, calls her, it's a little kitten, is the translation in Russian. I should know it at this point because apparently I love Bratva books, so I should know all of these words and like terms of endearment, but I actually don't.
But do you know the first book, The Sweetest Obsession?
Yeah.
With Nico and Elena?
Yeah.
I'm sure that was the first scene where he's like basically saying, "You've never had a fuck like me," like face down, ass up. And I remember reading it and I just think I'd ever read anything like that before. And it was the first chapter and it was so jarring. And I was like, I'm going to love this book.
She just really dropped you in there, you know, like really brought you in.
Wow. Okay.
Wait a second. Let's talk about this for a second, because I've actually been talking about this a lot outside of here, in like creative spaces. Not that I'm talking
face down,
about
ass up. Eh?
No, I've not talked about that, but talking about being chatty in those situations and people who are comfortable talking and like setting the scene, setting the tone, like guiding with words and things like that. And for some people who it's newer and they're like a little taken back, and then other people who've never had that experience, they think it's crazy. Like you see sometimes in the reviews, like, no one talks like that. I'm like,
not to you.
Not to you. Like, I'm not talking that way to you. But I do think that that's really interesting, is the banter that happens in those moments. And in these books in particular, that was a way to create connection and like establish their relationships in different ways. So anyway, yes, I love that. And I think when it's written really well, I think it can be amazing. Allie, I've had so much fun talking about this today. I love that you suggested this topic and we did a deep dive. I am sure both of us could come up with a list of 50 more authors and books to talk about in the Mafia Bratva genre. But for today, this is what we've decided on, and I'll make sure to put these in the show notes in case anyone wants to pick up one of these books and have their life changed by the sauna scene in the Monster Trilogy. But Allie, I always love when you visit with me and I get to check in, like not just talk about books, but check in with you and your books. Can you give us an update about your writing journey?
Yes. So The Unseen is out, and After Hours is also out too. And I'm currently just working through the edits for After a Killer, which is Katie and Jonesy, who were in the first After Hours book. I'm aiming to have that out. It was going to be April, but I think it's probably going to be May or June now. I do also work full time, so I never give myself enough time to do stuff.
It's so weird how that gets in the way with our true passions, which is giggling about books and writing them. But yeah, it is really in the way. It's cramping your style.
It really is. But this time I am going to do an ARC release. Yes. So Casey, if you would love to be an ARC reader, I would love to send you it. I didn't do it.
I'm mouthing it in the background for anyone who can't see. For anyone who can't see the audio podcast, I'm mouthing it in the background of like, yes, Allie, I would love that.
I do think that the last two, obviously as an indie author, there was just too much to try and figure out. I didn't want to try and figure out the ARC side of things as well. So I didn't do them for the previous two. So I'm trying to do it for this one because there should be also a Christmas novella coming out. And I say novella, but I asked my writing group and they said that's too long to be a novella. But it's like half the length of my other stuff. So I think it's kind of a novella. But that should be coming out and I definitely want to do arcs for that. So this is my practice arc thing. So yeah. Katie and Jonesy, I'm so excited about them. I think this is the best one I've written. I just love them. Them so much.
I love that. I feel it in you when I'm like looking at you and we're talking about this. And I know you and I talk about this offline when we're not recording, but just like even now I feel it so much and I can feel it in your writing. Like I feel the adoration you have for your characters. It just like jumps off the page.
Thank you so much. Like I just love them. And Jonesy's an army boy and Dom, my husband, was an army boy as well. So I have such a soft spot for I don't think Jonesy's particularly like Dom at all. There's maybe some things where he does stuff where I always put a little bit of Dom in it because, you know, that's what I like. But I don't know. I wouldn't have said he was particularly like him, but I have such a fondness for all of Dom's army friends as well. Like some of them are absolute rat bags, don't get me wrong. Like they're not good people sometimes. But like, I don't know, the way they all are together, the camaraderie and stuff, like what a wonderful bond to have with people. So I just really liked Jonesy as a character. And Katie's such a spitfire. So Yeah, and she's having a terrible time. So
she's having a terrible time, you said?
Oh yeah, she's having a terrible time.
Well, I cannot wait to learn more about them because I was just thinking, I did meet them in the last book, but I am really excited about this. I am so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. You know, it's interesting to watch someone's journey. And I was talking about this with Rhea Morris Edwards yesterday when we were recording. And I said, I keep using the word meteoric when I describe your journey because in just a few years, both of you, when I'm thinking about both of you, like, it's wild to me from the outside. I know it's not happening overnight. I realize that, right? In your life, it's like blood, sweat, and tears. It's happening all the time. I understand that. I am mature. I'm saying from the outside, I'm watching you and I'm thinking in just a few years, writers like you are just like claiming space, creating these worlds, finding readers who love you. I just think that that's so beautiful. And it's really, I don't know, it's really inspiring to watch. I'm sure I'm making you really awkward right now because I'm like, you're so inspiring, Allie. But like,
I'm British. We don't do this.
I have a patio door. It's fine. No, but like, I think it's really, I love when I get to witness that and see all the different steps you've taken. So even just now, as you're saying, like, I'm going to do arcs. I'm like, that's the next step. Like, this is really exciting to watch. Obviously I like everything you post, but like, it's so interesting to see other people love it too. And like, kind of jump in and discover you and your voice and the worlds that you're building. So just as you're like number one biggest fan located in California, I just have to tell you, I'm like really, really happy for you. So
thank you. I will say, I know I do always say this, but I do think like if you are writing and you've written something and you're just not sure what to do, like just take a chance. I never really thought things would be taking off or doing as well as they have been. And, you know, I get to do stuff like this with Casey because I just took a chance. And like, you know, my whole life is changing, which I know sounds super dramatic and cringy, but like, honestly, like I never thought I'd get to this point, and it's not even been a year and it already has. So I think just take a chance on yourself and just be brave. Still very early here.
I know. It's like, be brave because if you do that, you can wake up 2 hours early than you normally do and be on the podcast with me. And like, we watched the sunrise on Allie's screen because she woke up and got on and it was dark out. No, but I will say, I'll end this with, I am going to blame all of 2026 and 2027 on you, Allie, because you have inspired me and there's a lot going on in the background. So ending this podcast episode by saying, Allie Roberts, it is all your fault.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to this episode of Love Letters and Books, a podcast for anyone who loves a good story. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to follow, rate, and review this podcast on your favorite listening platform. You can find me on both Instagram and TikTok at Love Letters and Books. And if you're interested in being a guest on Love Letters and Books, suggesting your favorite author, or just want to write in an original love letter to yourself or someone else to be read on air, please send me an email at lovelettersandbookspodcast@gmail.com.